Ahoy there! This is Brett Moody, one of the two co-creators of Yargh, an odd dice odyssey. Yargh is the dice-swapping sea crawler where you master luck. The game is for 2 to 4 players ages 14 and up. Today, I'm going to walk you through one turn of Yargh. But before I do that, I'm going to give you an idea of the objective of Yargh, as well as introduce you to 4 mechanics that make Yargh unique. First, Yargh's objective. Yargh is a semi-cooperative game, so it has both competitive and cooperative elements. In Yargh, every player is a pirate, and every pirate is part of the same crew. The crew's objective is to defeat the Terror of the Sea, which is a super difficult boss monster, at the end of the game. Every pirate who survives this battle is a winner. However, the pirate who scores the most points of these survivors is the ultimate winner. Pirates can score points through 3 ways. Through their final dice roll, by collecting charms, which are worth 5 points each, and through artifact cards, which list how many points they're worth and say points at the bottom. Chaos dice are the first mechanic that makes Yargh unique. Chaos dice are d6s with unique combinations of faces. During combat, Chaos dice are combined with action cards to create actions. For example, this card gives 6 health, while this card does 12 damage. Dice can be combined with any card that has a matching dice slot. For example, this 10 can be combined with this card, but not this card, while this 7 can be combined with either card, and the 4 can be combined with only this card. Dice with skulls on them cannot be used with any card. The second mechanic that makes Yargh unique is the Fate die. The Fate die is this purple d20, and it controls the values of any dice that shows a flower, like this one. So right now, this green die is worth 5, because the Fate die is worth 5. For that reason, we can place this green die on this action card. The Fate die does not control the values of dice that do not show a flower, like the 6. If the value of the Fate die changes, the value of any dice that shows a flower also changes. So if this Fate die becomes a 4, we can no longer put this flower on this action card. Duels are the third mechanic that make Yargh unique. Whenever 2 or more pirates disagree about anything in Yargh, whether that be who gets which loot or what island they should explore, they duel. Pirates duel by each rolling one of their dice. When the tied coin is low, the lowest number wins. When the tied coin is high, the highest number wins. So in this example, player 1 is the orange die, player 2 is the blue die. Right now, the orange die would win the duel because it has a value of 4 from the Fate die, and that is lower than 6. If the tide was high, then the blue die would win. Charms are the fourth mechanic that make Yargh unique. Charms are these gold coins that allow any player to reroll any die at any time. Let's go back to the example from the duel section. Let's say I'm the blue player and I'm currently losing this duel because I have a higher number than the orange die. I can use my charm to reroll the Fate die, the blue die, or the orange die. I cannot use it to change the value of the tide coin though. So let's say I use my charm on this Fate die and we get a 7. Now I'm winning the duel because I have the lowest number of all the dice that are in this duel. The orange player, if they had their own charm, could then reroll my dice. So let's say they reroll my dice and it becomes a 10, now they're winning the duel again. And this can go back and forth as long as both players have charms to spend. Okay, we've gone over the core mechanics of Yargh, so now let's go through one turn. The first thing that we're going to do is called the sea change. We're going to flip the tide coin and roll the Fate die. Our tide coin is low, so that means that low numbers will win duels. And our Fate die is 15, which means that any dice that shows a flower will be worth 15. The next phase is the navigation phase. We draw and place island and monster cards, then we choose an island monster pair to visit. I've already placed several monsters and several islands on the game board. So you'll see there's 3 columns for us to choose from: the Sea of Scoundrels, the Antic Atoll, and the Fog. The Sea of Scoundrels and the Antic Atoll are always face up, while the Fog is face down. When we're making a choice about which island monster pair to visit, it's important to remember that we have to do both the monster and the island together. We can't do a monster from one column and an island from another. Let's examine one of these columns. So in the Sea of Scoundrels, we have a level 3 monster, which is the highest level of monster below Terror of the Sea. It's called Hateful Calamari, and it has 40 P, which means 40 times the number of pirates, so 80 health. It's going to attack with a D20, and it's going to attack with the targeting die. Its special effect is that if it kills a pirate, it's going to heal to full health. The island it's guarding is called Dr. Craggs. On Dr. Craggs Island, we're going to roll all of our dice and gain that much health, so it's a pretty good island. So during a normal turn, we'd read each of these islands, and then we'd make a decision as a crew. If there were any disagreements, then we would duel to decide which of these 3 island monster pairs we would visit. For the sake of this example, we're going to say that we picked the Sea of Scoundrels. Alright, so we've entered combat with the Hateful Calamari. The first thing we do is we go to the monster health counter, and we set it to its starting value, which is 40 P. In this case, there's 2 pirates, so that's 80 P, or 80. The next thing we do is we get its attack die out, which in this case is a D20. We pull that from the red bag. This monster has the roll targeting style, so it's going to use the targeting die to attack us. You'll see that me and the other player that I'm playing as, we're on player board A and player board B. The targeting die has 6 faces with different combinations of the various letters that a player can be represented by. So we have AB, which would be both of us, AD, which would be just the first player I'm playing as, and so on and so forth. So during combat, we take a look at the tide coin. During high tide, the monster's going to attack first. During low tide, the monster's going to attack second. Right now it's low tide, so the monster's going to attack second after we've played. So what we do, and I've already done this in this example, is we take 4 cards from our starter action deck and we place them in front of us. And I've done that for both the players that I'm playing as. Okay. Now we roll both of our dice, or we roll our dice. In this case, this player, player B, has a dice that's only fate faces. The fate die is currently 15, so no matter what, he has a 15. This other player has a dice that will roll a 13. So pretty similar. So if we look at the dice and we look at the cards that this player has, this 13 can't go there, it can't go there, can't go there, it can't go there. So right now, this guy is in kind of a rough spot. However, these players can trade with each other. So if we go back to the other player, he's got a 15. He can trade it with the first player. So that 15 goes here under the min 15, and now we're doing 5 damage. The 13 goes to the other player. When we trade dice, they're traded permanently. Okay, so now this other player has a 13, but it's looking like, if I'm not mistaken, that it's looking like they cannot use this dice either. So what they can do is they can use a charm to re-roll this dice. All right, we got an 8. Max 10. There we go. So we put the charm back in the charm bowl. And now both players are able to play something. So what we're going to do, first off, is we're going to do 5 damage to the monster. And then this player is going to gain 8 health. Alright. So now it's the monster's turn. And normally what we would do is we would roll these dice at the beginning. Monster rolls their dice. We have an A and a D for 8. Okay, so because it's an A, and this player is player A, he's going to lose 8 health points. And because it's, he could charm this, but an 8's pretty low, so it's probably not worth giving up the charm. So now what we would do is we take our dice back, we return our cards to the discard pile, and then draw a new set of cards. And then play would continue until either the monster or the whole crew dies. So the namesake of Yargh comes from this hook over here. So whenever a player scores the most damage during a combat turn, they can grab the hook and say Yargh. And what that'll do is it'll give them a glory point. When they get 3 glory points, they can redeem those glory points for a charm. So that's combat in a nutshell. Normally we'd play through a few rounds, but we're going to assume in this case that we beat the Hateful Calamari without it killing either of us. Alright, so now that we've killed the monster, we go to the loot phase. So the first thing we do is we take the monster that we used, and also the monsters that weren't used, and we drop them in Davy Jones' locker. We also do that with the islands we didn't use. Alright, so because the monster was a level 3, there's 3 phases to the looting turn. So the first thing we do is we take 2 power cards, which are more powerful action cards, and we lay them out. Alright, and what's going to happen is the 2 players that are playing are going to decide which of these 2 that they want. So this power card, it says do twice the value of the die and damage, and it accepts any face that is a fate face. This one says steal a charm from another pirate. So let's assume that the 2 players are in agreement. Player A wants this one, player B wants this one. Then all they would do is simply take their new cards, which are more powerful than the rest, and place them on top of their starter action card deck. So that's the first part. The next part is we divvy up artifacts. And again, the amount of artifacts that are able to be looted are equal to the number of pirates in the game. So here we have one artifact that's very good. It's the diamond, which is worth 25 points. And we also have another artifact that's not so good, which is the tiny dagger. So what's going to happen now is the 2 pirates are going to duel. And again, it's low tide. So these 2 pirates are going to put their dice out, and they're going to roll. Okay, so because the fate die is 15, this is worth 15, this is worth 13. What this pirate can do, pirate A, is they can use their charm to re-roll the fate die to see if they can win this duel. Because remember, because it's low tide, they're currently losing because they have the higher number. So they're going to re-roll the fate die. And they got a 6. That means they win. And assuming no more charms are thrown, then this player gets their way and gets the diamond, which they put off to the side. Artifacts always go to the side of the board. The other player takes their artifact and places it to the side of their board. So artifacts, just to explain those real quickly, they can either give points, like this diamond, or they can do actions. In this case, you can do 1 damage to any monster or any pirate. This is not a very good artifact. So in this case, you would definitely want to duel for the diamond. The third thing we do is we take, because it's a level 3 monster, each player takes either 2 more artifacts from the top of the deck, or they pull a dice from the bag of chaos. In this case, because each player only has 1 dice, it makes sense for both of them to pull a die from the bag of chaos. I pulled this one. It's got a nice variety of numbers. The other player, let's say they pick 2 artifacts. They get a pearl, which is worth 5 points, and they get a overboard artifact, which lets them leave any combat. The second to last thing we do per turn is we visit the island. In this case, we have a very simple island. We simply roll all of our dice and gain that much health. So player A is going to roll their dice. Let's see. They got a 3 and the fate die, which is worth 6. So they get 9 health. And the other player, they roll their die. And they get 6 health. So all in all, a successful turn. The last stage of each turn is we clean up any dice, put them back, put our cards back into their respective discard piles, and then we move the ship standee forward. So once we get to the the final island, then we start our battle with the Terror of the Sea. And with that, we have one turn of Yargh. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in publishing Yargh or getting in contact with us, email yarghgame@gmail.com or visit our website listed below.